For those of you paying attention, I quoted Einstein fairly often throughout the first season, and I want this one to be heard again because it transitions into this episode perfectly. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind, its faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and forgotten the gift, Albert Einstein. I'm your host, Jacob Smith, and this is Observant Attention. Thank you for joining me in week 2. I really hope the understanding of our hearts can carry us into this season's content because it actually plays a massive role in many of the topics, in all of the topics, which are among life's most important discussions right now. So this week, we're going to dive into a very misinterpreted mental faculty, intuition. We're going to talk about what it is, how it plays an integral part in our lives, and obviously how to best use it to our advantage. Because without action, knowledge is useless. And the whole point of every single episode is to provide you with a deeper insight into your very own life through the information provided. The last thing I'm trying to do is talk just to fill time. Every sentence should be contemplated. So feel free to listen and re-listen to the information every so often, as sometimes your perspective changes and the information will hit different. I know the first season hits me a lot different than when I presented it. As Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at something, the thing you look at changes. All right. First things first, you do not need to learn how to be intuitive. You already are. The knowledge that comes from intuition is attainable at any time, but we must learn to channel that. It's indescribable what you can uncover once you begin to realize the information that can be received through your intuition. Now, I'm going to give my definition based on research, deep introspection, and personal experience because I don't believe Google knows what the fuck they're talking about. Intuition is an unlimited, and I mean unlimited, source of wisdom that requires no prior knowledge or intelligence because the information you receive is beyond your rational, conscious, analytical mind. Listen closely. Intuition is answers without questions. It's getting beyond your conscious to uncover unexplainable information from the superconscious. If all information was thought, then it would have to derive from your past experience. But sometimes we have these flashes of pure genius that seemingly come from nowhere, and that is intuition. Now, I could go on and on about exactly where I think this information comes from, but let's just scratch the surface here. Like a scratch ticket. We scrape the top, see the prize, cash it in, and collect. No need to keep scratching. Not yet, at least. Intuition is best understood as thinking with your heart. A misnomer is its intuitive thought, but thought is physical, in my opinion, based on our memory and experience of the past. Whereas intuition is information that is beyond thought, what many believe to be the fundamental source of consciousness, or in other words, what creates everything. The thought that gets sprung on from intuition is just your mind decoding the information so you can understand it. I believe intuition can really only be understood through experience. I mean, you could intellectually comprehend my previous definition of it, but once you connect with your own intuition, it's like the brightest of all light bulbs illuminating your perspective. Maybe I should start writing poetry. Nah. As this week progresses, we'll talk about exactly how to bring it on because you can't force it. But you can set the environment for it and improve your connection to it. And that's why I've discovered that asking questions limits answers because we are actually inferring an outcome. However, when you are in a state to receive information through your intuition, you receive answers to questions that you wouldn't have otherwise known to ask. Because the very evolution of thought comes from intuition and imagination, and we'll touch on imagination and how it compares next episode. Intuition can also be that gut feeling that guides you towards a decision, regardless of any rationalization. This is because your stomach consists of 500 million neurons, the brain and heart's messenger, and the stomach is constantly sending signals to the brain. Now, we're going to dive into the gut, heart, and brain relationship later on in the season and what we can do to enhance it. But for now, all you need to know is this: your stomach has a brain too, and that's what we call a gut feeling. So let's take a second to visualize an intuitive moment. I'll start. So I've always wanted to start a podcast. Never knew why, just always been a lingering passion of mine. And I'm lying down about 6 months ago, just about to sleep, when my brain waves are settling into a nice, slow theta frequency. And all of a sudden, you might as well have hit me in the face with a unicorn, because I became overwhelmed with a sense of euphoria. No thought required, just simply this electricity that overcame me. Pure bliss. And the next 4 hours that followed, and everyone closest to me can attest to this, I wrote and wrote and wrote all these profound ideas, insights, and I guess you can call them thoughts, because once intuition is translated, it becomes a thought, which then sparked the reason why I am sitting here today. Boom, intuition. And I've yet to explain the direct source of this information. I mean, I think I know, but I won't be able to scientifically or rationally prove it anytime soon. But it was some crazy stuff. Stuff that predicted my future, clarified my past, stuff that led me down paths that I wouldn't have otherwise walked down in a million years. And the best part of it all is I know deep down it's exactly where I should be going. And when I say deep down, that metaphor literally talks about my gut, my stomach, right? I know that the decisions I must make in this life are best understood through my intuition. Crazy stuff, huh? And I was never really spiritual until that night, but that really opened my eyes to some different perspectives, and it's important to stay open-minded. So that being said, eventually I came to the conclusion that we actually limit the answers to life, both our own lives and the profound philosophical ones of the universe, with the questions that we ask. That are limited by language, but that's a discussion for a different day. Because our questions are limited to what we know. Now, I could go on, and eventually I will, but I think that's deep enough for now. I'm sure everyone listening has had these profound, life-changing thoughts that have sparked a feeling, but it doesn't always have to be a life-changing revelation. Even just a little nudge to take the back roads home or bet on the Bucks. Shout out to the boys. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, if your intuition is guiding you, then what's the point of free will? And that's a great question. Some people believe that this is all predetermined and we only have one life and it's all played out. And really, that's kind of a cop-out. What I believe is there are infinite possibilities with infinite outcomes, and our free will determines which one we choose. So if we align ourselves with our intuition or higher purpose, then this will guide our decisions down the road most fulfilling, not least challenging, not easiest, not necessarily even the most consistent, but one that will create the absolute best experience for us. So the benefits? Where do I begin? Clarity, peace of mind, confidence in yourself and your future, inspiration, a physical connection to what many believe to be the very reason we are here. What about trust and the ability to leave some of the most indecisive moments in our lives to something that understands them better than we do? And we're going to talk about the difference between anxiety and intuition next episode, so you can differentiate when you're trying to manufacture that gut feeling, that deeper insight. And I know many of you may not be as open to the idea of not having full control of your life, but you cannot deny that your intuition has made some of your biggest decisions for you. It has helped you shape the person you are today and will continue to speak through you with or without a direct connection to it. The connection just allows the benefits and capabilities of intuition to shine through. So we can live a life of purpose rather than one filled of questions, regret, lack, worry, fear, and doubt. And that's the absolute best way I can put it. So next episode, we're going to touch on the difference between anxiety and intuition, how to activate it, how to best utilize it, and also a little on imagination and maybe a taste of divine timing. If you felt at all impacted by today's information, it would go a long way to subscribe, download, and review these episodes, as that 2-minute gesture means the world to this information. Also, I've been posting quite frequently on my Instagram and TikTok, so if you want this information real quick fast, then feel free to follow and interact. Remember, life is that simple. Thanks for listening, and stay inspired.